The Virginia Cavaliers are the biggest risers in this week's Locked On ACC Power Rankings.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. On this episode, we'll look at possible upsets. ACC football this weekend. I think there are some possibilities out there. Dabo Sweeney against Bill Belichick. That's a coaching matchup this weekend. The upset is possible. Is it for Belichick? We'll talk about that. But that coaching matchup will feature something we have not seen since 1993. We will explain. But Kenton Gibbs, it's time to dive into this week's ACC Power Rankings. I will tell you, coming up with 1 through 17 this week, a lot tougher than it was last week with some of the results we had over the weekend. Now, you tell me, you might think I'm very wrong on this. Not on number 1. I'm keeping Miami at number 1. Miami takes on Florida State this weekend. Huge game. I'm actually keeping Florida State at number 2, despite the upset loss in Charlottesville. I'm going with Louisville. They win a conference game. They rise to number 3. And I'm going Virginia at number 4. And part of the reason why I have Virginia at number 4 is even though it was a non-conference game, they lost to NC State. So it's like, I don't know what to do with all this. So you tell me, my top 4. What did I do wrong?
How do we keep Florida State at 2? There has to be some penalty for dropping. With all due respect to Florida State.
Yeah.
I have said this already, and I continue to say this about them, and it applies to Georgia Tech as well. They're not. I don't feel like they're ready to be the hunted yet. The answer, what the question was asked, and it was definitively answered by Florida State. No, we are not ready to be the hunted. We are not ready to be the team that people are looking at saying we're going to storm the field if we beat them. They're not there right now. Obviously, by Castellano's statements that, there's going to be a field storming in Tallahassee. Ew. I can understand if Miami was like a national powerhouse that's won multiple national championships in the past 10 years or so, or they've even won the ACC in that same time frame or something like that. No such thing has happened. What do you mean? What do you mean we're going to storm the field? So I'm sorry, but a team whose starting quarterback says we're going to storm the field if we win, that a number 2 team in the conference cannot be.
Thing is, so my logic for keeping them there is, and I who else is taking that spot? I think was my logic, because again, it's like, so Virginia in double overtime beat Florida State at home, but they also lost to NC State. Like, I would be very tempted to rise Georgia Tech to number 2, but Georgia Tech should have lost to Wake freaking Forest last weekend. They got lucky, right? Maybe you could make an argument for Louisville, who, came from behind to beat Pitt, haven't played that tough of a schedule yet, whereas Florida State has a win over Alabama. It's not nothing. I know Paul Feinbaum is already starting to crank up his excuse machine, like, well, if they played again now, Bama would blow them out, and that loss doesn't look so bad now. But still, like, I'm still giving Florida State credit for beating Alabama, and I'm keeping them at number 2 because I don't feel like anyone else has taken that spot from them.
I get your argument behind Florida State has the best win. I understand. But the same way that I tell the SEC, you can't just best win your way out of a loss to a 6-win team. I can't tell that to the SEC. And then when it's time for the ACC, whoa. I meant rules for y'all. I didn't mean rules for us. No, I got to be consistent on this one, brother. I love a great win. It's great. Yeah. But if you're going to be up and down and inconsistent, to me, you de facto have to drop 4 teams that, while they may have been up and down, while they may have been inconsistent, they have beaten teams that are the caliber of Virginia. And even if we're talking about Virginia just this year, right? Even if we completely exclude all past that stuff and just talk this year they have been a good team at times. They've also lost to an NC State team that lost to a team without a coach. So,
Yeah.
there's a give and there's a take to this thing where I'm like, Florida State has the best win. They also have one of the worst losses. But that's just the reality.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking in that SEC mentality. All right. So who would you put number 2 then? Who would you rank behind Miami?
Well, I mean, you kind of got to go with one of the undefeated teams, one of the teams that's undefeated in conference, one of the teams that, again, people might not like this, other than our main man, Slam Tanner. You might have to go Louisville. You might have to say, hey, they have to be number 2 because, again, have they impressed all year? No, but they've done what they need to do. And Donno, I know you might hate this. But the very clear and obvious answer for number 2 is Georgia Tech. Even though they got away with one, Donno, even though we all know there's laws, even though we know it, if ifs were fifths, you and I would be drunk. And yet here we are sitting here sober recording this show. So,
I feel like if Georgia Tech played, 12 games a year against top 15 opponents, they would have a better record than the schedule that they normally play because they play so well against good opposition and so badly against bad teams. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Top 4. I know Kenton doesn't like it. Miami, Florida State, Louisville, Virginia at number 4. Let me give you the next few here. I got Duke. Duke is a riser as well. Duke rises to number 5. Kenton, they're 2-0 now in conference. Georgia Tech, I penalized them for what I had to. I watched that entire game against Wake Forest. I was so not impressed. So I penalized them for that, drop them to number 6. And I've got Pittsburgh. I've got them at number 7. They did just lose to Louisville, but, it was a competitive game, and they probably should have won if Narduzzi hadn't Narduzzi'd. So that's what I'm looking, top 7.
My problem with Pitt is the same as it's always been. They are the best of times and the worst of times all in one. I can't count on you. I can't count on it. I can't believe in it. I can't get behind it. I'm sorry. I just can't. And so I struggle to leave them in the top half of the conference because this ain't the first game that we have seen Narduzzi go out there and absolutely lay an egg. And again, this ain't just on Narduzzi. We obviously know that Holstein seems to have lost his Holstein magic. But to me, a team that's on a 2-game losing streak, and one of which was a 17-point comeback or a 17-point, what's the word I want to say, let down or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't really. I can't leave you in the top half. But again, I get where you're coming from, Donno.
Yeah. And then, and you know what? They also have a loss to West Virginia, so maybe I probably do have them too high. Number. All right, so we'll revisit that one. Maybe we'll amend these tomorrow. Like I said, really hard coming off the week we just had. I've got SMU at number 8, Syracuse at 9. Obviously, they've dropped several spots after getting obliterated by Duke. I've got NC State at number 10. And I've got Wake Forest at 11. Obviously, I have to put Wake Forest behind NC State because of the recent head-to-head, even though the head-to-heads don't all make sense because NC State has a head-to-head win over Virginia, who's number 4. So it's chaos, but that's where I'm at 1 through 11.
I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you there. Wake Forest showed us something in this game, right, that we didn't know was there. This seemed like a Wake Forest team that, it's year 1. It's easy to pack it in and pack it up and say, you know what? We're going to build good habits with the young guys, which means you're going to get your heads beat in by 50 every game, but you're going to do it with players who you anticipate being better next year. I'm not mad at you moving Wake Forest up because they did play a heck of a ball game. They really and truly did. They were robbed. And even though I'm against punishing teams for them receiving the benefit of a robbery, I'm not against celebrating a team for like, you should have won, especially if it's a bottom feeder like Wake Forest. Wake Forest, we're going to give you your love on this one. I'm fine with you being there.
All right, so here's 12 through 17. I got Cal at number 12. They have an opportunity to keep rising. They just beat Boston College. I penalized Cal for whatever that was at San Diego State a couple weeks ago. That was brutal. So Cal at number 12 with the opportunity to rise. I've got Clemson at number 13. Stanford 14th. Virginia Tech, they rise a couple spots. They're not in the cellar anymore. Virginia Tech rises to 15. Sorry, Kenton. North Carolina at 16. And I've got Boston College now, who have lost to Cal and Stanford this year. I've got Boston College in the cellar.
Oh, it's, although it's tough being an NC State fan right now, being a Bill O'Brien hater, I've been shorting that stock for years. I've been shorting that stock for a while. And for those of you who know about the stock market, if you shorted Bill O'Brien stock, you're living good right now. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You're living great. You're raking in a profit. Just, give me more of that. I need more, because I always knew if you put Bill O'Brien at the head of anything, it will crumble. It will crumble. Don't trust him to do not a darn thing. When he was at Alabama, they won in spite of him, not because of him. And yet and still, you want to get his head coach down. And I honestly, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about Boston College in this episode, I feel bad for them more than anything else, because they did get put in a terrible situation with Hafley deciding to bolt to the NFL in like the middle of the offseason. It was like, well, what are you going to do, right? It was either go with a hire like Bill O'Brien or do the Stanford and say, well, we're going to have an interim college coach for an entire season. So
they should have brought Doug Flutie in to be their interim coach.
There you go. There you go. They were handed a very, very crappy hand, and they're playing it the best way they can. But again, giving Bill O'Brien any hand is a good chance that you're going to end up walking away from that table losing your money.
So that is this may be amended before the week is over, but your ACC football power ranking: Miami, Florida State, Louisville, Virginia, Duke, Georgia Tech, Pitt, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Wake Forest, Cal, Clemson, Stanford, Virginia Tech, UNC, and Boston College. And by the way, speaking of Clemson and UNC, we got a head-to-head, including a historical coaching matchup. We'll talk about that when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Folks, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. We're also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Guys, Monarch has helped me so much, not only with my budgeting, but with creating better financial habits. Do not let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen. For your next listen, check out our other shows. Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone do an awesome job talking all things NC State on Locked On Wolfpack. I talk all things Miami on Locked On Canes. Do you think, Kenton, that the North Carolina Tar Heels, they're going to be the slump buster for Clemson, right? Now, Clemson goes, I think, into Carolina this weekend, road game for the Tigers, but they are favored by 14.5 points. So despite their poor start, I think we could probably agree Clemson should have the talent and, dare I say, even the coaching to pull out a victory against Chapel Hill. You're muted. It's that big Belichick lobby.
Yeah, big Belichick lobby. They're in the triangle. They're everywhere. They're in the trees, Donald. They're in the trees. But anyway, let me make one thing clear and one thing clear only. You know, we talked about wrong team favorite and all that good stuff. Well, I want to take this a step further, okay? This is not going to be a pull out a win. This is going to be a pull out a belt. This is not going to be is the wrong team favored. No, the right team is favored just by not nearly enough. I don't think this game will be within 20 points by halftime. And I'm not joking. I don't see a world where that happens. Number one, Bill Belichick's unrelenting commitment to Gio Lopez. I don't understand it.
What's that about?
Imagine a world where we said that Bill Belichick's questionable commitment to somebody would be to his detriment, and we weren't talking about Jordan Hudson. What type of world are we existing in? And even beyond that, that North Carolina team has not looked remotely competitive against any Power 4 team. They have not looked like they belonged on the field for any point in time. That UCF game, I watched it early with the biggest smile on my face from ear to ear. Just, this game is going so well for me. So, I don't see a world where
and then, by the way, I thought UCF, maybe they're kind of good. I watched them the following week against Kansas State. They look terrible. But UCF's not a good team.
Donno, I can't make this up. This team, again, if you go up and down that coaching staff, it's a bunch of people who have their first ever position coach job or coordinator job on this team. Come on, dog. Yeah. Come on. We got to get.
Well, and there was this long ESPN article that came out, like I don't know if it was right before the season started or early in the season, that basically detailed that how much of like the operation staff, it wasn't just obviously, new head coach comes in, new GM, you're going to want to bring in new coaches. I get that. But there were a ton of members of the operation staff that could have eased that transition and like helped all these people coming in from the NFL. Hey, by the way, this is when you're allowed to text recruits. This is when you're not. This is when you're allowed to go in home. This is when you're not. This is when people can visit, et cetera. And they laid off all of those people, brought in people who didn't, know these rules and regulations. And it's been a difficult transition there. But despite our concerns about the North Carolina Tar Heels, this coaching matchup, it's only the second time ever you've got a multiple-time national championship winning coach on one sideline, Dabo, versus a multiple-time Super Bowl winning coach on the other, Belichick. The last and only previous time it happened, Kenton, was 1993. Bill Walsh was at Stanford. I forgot that even was a thing. Bill Walsh, multiple Super Bowl winner with the 49ers, coaching Stanford against Joe Paterno, multiple-time national champion winning coach at Penn State. This will be only the second time we get a coaching matchup like this.
Donno, just out of curiosity, what was the result of that game? I'm going to go out on the limb and say that the multiple-time national championship winner whooped the wheels off the multiple-time.
Well, let me, I don't even know. Let me Google that.
Well, while you Google it, what I do want to make clear here is, again, this is completely my thoughts and feelings about UNC removed, because if I did not care, if I was approaching this from the standpoint of,
you're not going to like this, by the way.
Bill Walsh won
24-3, Stanford over Penn
State.
Good
for him. Good for Bill Walsh.
I just debunked your whole point, but here we are.
I'm willing to bet you any amount of money it's not going to happen in this one. We are not going to be seeing the upset of the century for the NFL coach over the college coach in this one, because, again, the horses are just not in that stable. This is not going to be a great year for the Tar Heels. And
by the way, how's this for nostalgia? The game that Walsh and Joe Pa went head-to-head was the 1993 Blockbuster Bowl. God, I miss Blockbuster so much.
Kids today know nothing about walking down that aisle on Friday and getting the video game that you've been plotting on for forever, and it's always out and it's finally back in stock. They know nothing of it. Now everything's on streaming and they're just game sharing it all up. Enough of us being old men here. The reality is Dabo's boys are going to win this game. This is the best slump buster they could have possibly asked for, because very few people could have foreseen them being that bad. But there were some who called it correctly that they would be terrible. They would be god awful. So
I thought they'd be better than this, but you tried to tell me. I thought you were just being a hater because you're an NC State guy, but you knew.
I saw from the start of it. I said, all right, wait, let me wait until I see who he surrounds himself with in this staff. But even before that, my biggest problem with this was he's a coach who looked like the game passed him by last time. That was my biggest problem. I could not get past the fact that, like, you were the guy. You were in charge of everything in Foxborough, and you ran it all into the ground, with all due respect, while the guy who everybody credits with winning it all went on to win another one. And again, not saying that hurts or helps who was the reason or who was the cause, just saying I know that ate you alive. I know that you didn't walk out of there with a good headspace. So, I would be very, very surprised. That would be, to me, the biggest upset of the year. Like, even beyond Virginia Tech beating NC State, if obviously point spread wise, this is bigger than Virginia Tech NC State, this would be massive for UNC if Bill Belichick could pull this one off.
All right, well, let's talk about possible upsets when we come back. And like you said, this would be the biggest upset opportunity of the weekend. I mean, outside of if Campbell were to find a way to beat NC State, which I don't think is going to happen. There's no spread on that game, so I don't expect that one to happen. But outside of that, actually, you know what? There's another line that's even bigger this weekend, believe it or not. So let's talk about it when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Folks, speaking of upsets, I mean, what a segue. We are brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, college football in full swing. FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I mean, it sounds to me like Clemson minus 14.5 might be a good one to start with. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We're also proudly brought to you by Square. Guys, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home. Whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. I love the neighborhoods that have those pop-up shops that come together. In my neighborhood, the food trucks are always a big hit with my son and I. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I'm Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. All right, so Kenton, believe it or not, there is an ACC matchup with a larger line than Clemson minus 14.5, and that is SMU favored by 17.5 at home against Syracuse. Syracuse just got boat raced by Duke last week, which is why this line is so big. I'm not really a full believer in SMU, though, to this point, where I think they're going to win by that much, Kenton. I don't think Syracuse necessarily wins the game outright, because I think there's a little bit more of a drop-off from Angeli to Ricky Collins than I expected, given how close that quarterback competition was. Syracuse looked really bad this past week, but I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if they keep it within 10 points, though.
And not only that, it was a lack of resilience from Syracuse that I'm sure is worrying a lot of people right now, because that's kind of Fran Brown's calling card. It's kind of that, hey, I'm from Jersey, I'm from Kent. This is, I'm a hard worker. I'm a grit and grind type of guy. You didn't see a grit and grind performance out of Syracuse against Duke. So I understand where you're coming from. However, I think the discrepancy at the quarterback position gives me enough to say that SMU covers in a very bad beat manner. This is my bad beat game of the week. This is my bad beat game where it's like they're right there. And
like they're up 11 and then they get a garbage time touchdown to be up 18 and
Exactly. I think it's going to be one of those moments where it's like, you didn't need that. You did not need that, but it happens anyway.
I mean, as long as it's not worse than Fernando Mendoza taking an intentional safety.
Let me tell you, a lot of bettors cried. A lot of bettors cried that day. Some folks, again, we say to gamble responsibly. I call folks degenerates as a shaming tactic to get them to stop. Hey, but
you only empower me whenever you call me a degenerate. It makes me like I feel like I have plot armor or something. I don't know.
But I'll tell you, there was some folks who couldn't make rent, Donno. There was some folks who couldn't make rent off that one. You know,
I sent my invoice for my rent right to Fernando Mendoza.
Well, you know, now they got the QR codes and whatnot on players' jerseys and on their helmets in practice and all that. You know, you can request something from Cash App the same way you can send
them an invoice.
Go ahead and send them hey, I'm going to charge you a fee, brother. I need my $200 back. Come on.
All right, so other games, tell me possible upsets here. You know, this one, I guess it's because it's so late at night. Duke is only favored by 2.5 points against Cal. Mm-hmm. I could see Duke winning this game comfortably. It's a 10:30 game out in Berkeley, but I don't know. I if I had to go one way or the other, I'd probably go Duke minus 2.5.
I want to make this proclamation right now, and I know that this is college season and you know, they're in school and all that, and so he may be on the road touring. But if Cal pulls off the upset here, Lawrence Ross, we're calling you out. We go give you your 3 to 5 minutes in the sun.
You know what? I think that's my fault because he and I had a DM chain going, and I think I meant to like try to throw him some dates and times, and I got lost in because I've been writing some really inflammatory tweets recently about Florida and Florida State. So like my inbox has been so consumed with like hate mail that the Lawrence Ross thread has gone like way to the bottom. So
don't worry. Don't worry. I will reach out to Lawrence Ross myself. Okay. We will make this thing happen because we love you, brother. It's always a great time to have you on the show. I just can't get by a freshman beating Manny Diaz. I can't do it, Donno.
That's the thing. And I would love to see Cal pull off that upset. I would love to see it. I would love it.
Same. I think that's one of the more what I have learned about Cal in their time being in the ACC. I think they're one of the most underrated fan bases in our conference. I really and truly do. I really and truly do. I can't see them winning this one. Yeah. But with that being said, it's such a peculiar situation because they've done everything in the right way to get better. You asked to go get talent, go get a quarterback, go get all these things. They've done it. The offense wasn't as productive as they would have wanted last year at certain points of time. They go revamp. Wilcox, a defensive guy, you trust him to take care of that side, but we need more enough. They go do it. And then right when you start believing in them, they get smacked by San Diego State, right? Yeah. Like, come on, man. Come on now. The Bay versus Southern Cal. If you're going to lose to a Southern Cal team, let it be USC, not no San Diego State Aztecs. What's going on? So, you know, it's just one of those things where I think Duke walks away with this one handily. Again, they're cleaning up their processes. 2 straight games, no turnovers. The most impressive game I've seen in the Manny Diaz era in that domination up at the Carrier Dome. Mama named the Carrier Dome. I'm going to call it Carrier Dome.
Yeah, I was about to correct you, but I think you hit. No, honestly, it's still the Carrier Dome to me as well. And you know what? When you talk about the Cal fan base, the Calgorithm, they call them, I think they are my outside of obviously Miami, which is near and dear to my heart. The Calgorithm is my favorite for this simple reason. Not only are they so creative with the way that they make those graphics and like, listen, I know a lot of it is AI, but I can't use AI the way that they do. Like, I don't know if it's just they know the prompts and they know how to code. Like, I don't know how to code. But the other thing that makes them so special is there's no way to evoke an emotional response from them. Like, for any other, you can rattle any other fan base. Right? Like people get into arguments on social media all day and it gets personal. It turns into name calling. You can't draw a Cal fan into that. Like they're like androids, but in a good way. Like they have shed all the emotion. They're never going to take it, you know, somewhere they shouldn't go because they just don't get drawn in. It's like a business to them, the trash talk that they do.
Yeah, I love the Calgorithm. And again, if they win this game, I want to get Lawrence Ross here because I want to be a part of the Calgorithm. I'm buying JKS. If they win this game, I'm buying JKS as freshman of the year. I'm buying them on the O'Brien watch list. I'm buying all the things. And their running back, Kendrick Raphael, a former NC State player. Love the guy. Love him. He's a wonderful personality. Great dude, man. He's one of those guys that, everybody that he's touched has a positive review of him, including myself. He's an amazing, amazing human being. And so, I'm rooting for him. I just have a slick feeling that Duke is going – they'll walk away with this one handily because their offense finally clicking on all cylinders.
Hold on. What do you think about this for a possible upset? Virginia, now ranked 24th nationally, just beat Florida State. They go into Louisville as 6.5-point underdogs. I mean, do you feel like maybe UVA can ride the hot hand to get another big win?
Donno, I'm going to say the phrase. Lee Sterling going to give me a call for this one, but I'm going to say the phrase. Wrong team favored. Wrong team favored. Louisville has one game every year. We cannot explain it. We do not understand it. But they have one game every year where the Browns forget how to coach and the team forgets how to play. I have a sneaky suspicion this is that game. I don't know why. Wow. I just have a very sneaky suspicion. After this game, they'll get back to their regularly scheduled program. But this one here, both of those backs a little bit banged up. They got some injuries elsewhere in the team as well. I don't think they'll be able to come back from down 17 against this UVA team. I think the magical run of the Who's continues, and they get a win on the road in Louisville.
I did not think you were going to go in that direction with that. I thought you were going to tell me because you're a bigger Isaac Brown fan than Mom and Papa Brown. Like you love Isaac Brown.
Yeah,
who only had I think 1.8 yards per carry against Pitt last week.
Him and Duke Watson. I love both of those guys. I legitimately say the more I watch that duo up in Happy Valley, and the more I watch them, the more I'm like, the gap between the two is smaller than everybody realizes. It's much smaller than everybody realizes. But with that being said, last game, it wasn't just that they were hurt that slowed them down. The blocking was horrendous. The offensive line play was just god awful. If they come out like that again, I think UVA's got a shot. I really do. And I think they're feeling themselves ranked for the first time since Rondé and Tiki were there. I mean, this is a bit, I know it hasn't been that long, UVA fans. Please relax. But they've ranked for the first time in quite some time. I just see it happening, man. I see UVA pulling this one off.
Obviously, for this one, we're going to spend a lot more time before the end of the week talking about Miami at Florida State. Florida State 4.5-point underdogs at home, Kenton. Is an upset brewing in Tallahassee?
There will be no field storming in this one. Again.
Nor should there be, because never, between Miami and Florida State, these are rivals, these are peers. You should never storm the field in a game like that.
Exactly. I'm sorry, you should expect this, but the reason that I have Miami winning this game, they're confident, they're rolling, the cracks are starting to show for Florida State. And everybody believed in them after the Bama win, but I believe that Bama is who they have always been under Kalen DeBoer. They will play Georgia like they're the 1985 Bears. And then when they play a team that's so-so, the pumpkin the carriage turns back into a pumpkin, the gown turns back into rags, the clock strikes midnight, and they turn into a completely different team. So I sit here before you all today saying, I think Florida State is good. I think they're about a 7-win team. I do not think that they have it in their arsenal to beat Miami. I think that because this is a rivalry, they'll compete early. I think Miami pulls away late, wins by double digits.
I hope you're right. We're going to dive more into that one on Friday when we go very, very detailed with our game picks for the 4 or 5 biggest matchups in the ACC. None bigger this week than number 3 Miami at number 18 Florida State. So you want to stay tuned for that. Make sure you check out Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone on Locked On Wolfpack. I know they've been very sad to start the week, but basketball season will be here before you know it, Kenton. Don't worry.
Get ready to learn some reckoning, ACC. We got Will Wade on our side, all right?
That's right. Make sure you check me out at Locked On Canes, and we'll talk to you again on another episode of Locked On ACC. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.